Hello, everyone. Rukhsi Sharif from Creatifecundity Incorporated is here with a special supporting women-owned business session. And today we welcome Ms. Cheryl Nomdarkhon from our 10th House Collective of fellow female founders. She is an incredibly, dazzlingly stunning personal stylist from Ontario, Canada, and she has uncovered your style as her business. Cheryl, tell us about your business. Introduce yourself and your business.
Great, thank you, Rukhsi. So I live in Toronto. I started my business last year called Uncover Your Style. And my goal with my personal styling business is to really help people discover their style sensibility. That is knowing intuitively how to walk into a store, how to find the clothes that fit your body shape, how to shop for yourself, shop with intention versus buying something and never wearing it, how to find the best colors that suit your skin tone, and really just being confident and comfortable in the skin that you're in. I started my company last year. It came out of just a miracle. I was working full-time as a program manager for a training and development company. And with the lockdowns and COVID, I was laid off. And I was really looking and just searching for what was next for me. And styling came up a few times in my life. I've always loved fashion as a young person. As a teen, I used to read all of fashion magazines, used to watch fashion television with Jeannie Becker, and I just loved how she could get right in there and interview all the major designers out there, whether it was Lagerfeld or Steve McQueen, or Alexander McQueen, I should say, and just really be in the thick of things. And I loved dressing up. I loved dressing myself and giving advice to my family and friends. And the next step for me was to just discover what was next. And in my job, I used to help the people who would volunteer with us to dress impeccably whenever they came in to be with us in our in-person courses. So I just said, okay, my God, I'm gonna do it. So I went back to school, took some online courses, and I dove right into there, and I became certified in June and started to register my business in September. And it's been a labor of love, because throughout starting my business, I thought about my dad. My dad was the first person who took me out shopping, not my mom. When we first moved to Canada from Jamaica, we'd take a day, go on the weekend, hop on the subway and go to the major shopping mall and just walk around. He'd take me to some stores, I'd pick out something, and I just learned how to shop from him. And just knowing who he was very impeccably dressed. He was always well groomed. He used to work in Jamaica as a customs officer, and everything he had was sharp. His suits were sharp, his shoes were shiny. And I just took that lesson from him about keeping your closet space impeccably neat, knowing where things are, and how to take care of your clothes, how to shop for good quality clothes that will last you for a good while.
Cheryl, tell us about the struggles and hardship that you faced when incorporating and starting your business.
The biggest hurdle for me has been COVID. It's a blessing, meaning I got to start my business last year, but the downside of it was that people were working from home. They weren't going to the office. Everyone's lifestyle changed. Suddenly people were in their pajama pants and on Zoom and not necessarily dressing up or going out as much. So that's been the struggle is finding the people that want to work with me, and people that wanted to take an interest in their appearance and their physical being during this time. And then it took something to find my first client, and she she didn't live in Toronto, which was great. I could do it over Zoom. But yeah, the struggle has been finding clients during this turbulent time for many, many people. So
how much do you think racism plays a role for you as a minority woman-owned business in a predominantly white European American field? How much does racism play a role in the struggles that you face?
That's a I'm going to answer that question twofold. I mean, the first part of it is the fact that during this time, people aren't going out. They aren't, taking an interest in grooming or styling because they're focused on working from home, or, you know what I mean? We're in a pandemic. Second part of it is that it's very challenging for women of color, specifically Black women, to get a business off the ground, especially all over the world, I'd say, but Toronto is specifically. There's a handful of us that are out there doing what we do, and the most popular and featured stylists are white women. So they're on TV, they're in featured magazines. The space for myself to clients, whether it's over IG or LinkedIn, or even if I'm meeting a client, who's called me for a discovery call. So, it's a matter of, okay, if I'm not going to be accepted, they don't want to work with me, fine, I'll go somewhere else. I've joined organizations specifically for Black women. I've joined Black Women Who Style. They're great. They're based in the US. Yeah, so I'm well aware of who I am and the struggles that we face. So I joined an organization called Black Women Who Style. They're based out of the US, and they're in a great organization. And I've also joined the Black Business Association in Toronto. So I've got the local chapter plus international or North American space that I'm creating with. So it's awesome to have these organizations. There's definitely more I can join. And I think the more people that I surround myself with that are like me, that look like me, that are interested in helping other people like me, that makes a world of difference. We can do so much more.
How do you think we can change this racism that is still there in the industry? Because it is a severe drawback. I mean, it is completely negating the existence of Black women, women of color in general, Indigenous women who are also in business, but very much in the shadows. We have women from Asia, the Pacific now. We have the Asian hate crimes. Their businesses are being affected. In fact, there was violence, shootings in these Asian-owned businesses. Women, minority women, Latino, Hispanic as well, feel left out of the dialogue. All of us of color are suffering in some way by this patriarchal, European American white prevalence domination in the business and corporate world. So we need a form of radical change. What are your thoughts about how we can bring this radical change for them to invest in our businesses, to see us, make us visible, and invest in our businesses?
It's going to come from us writing our own stories. It's going to come from us presenting, we own businesses where, I was so amazed as I was starting my business of looking at the industry itself. Black women, we consume and purchase billions of dollars worth of beauty and beauty industry, whether it's skin care, hair care, we're running it. And it's great, but we need to sow the seeds so that we can not only, yes, we can purchase, but we need to create too. We need to be creators. The more we see us creating and being out there, the more visible we can be in the mainstream. And it's changing. It's slowly changing. I mean, I think recently, I think it was Vogue, they're starting to revamp, I think Vogue America, revamp, hiring more visible minorities. And that's great, but it needs to be continuous. It needs to shift everywhere. It needs to be in the clothing industry, it needs to be in manufacturing. Well, it's manufacturing, that's a different story, but it needs to be in the people behind the scenes need to be visible. They need to really be the ones out there creating the content, because the creators are the ones who get the recognition. And it's gonna be like, it's gonna be a huge shift. It might not happen in my lifetime, but it will change, especially with the younger generation coming up, who are creators, who are, causing something to happen. So it's slowly shifting, but it needs to happen across the globe.
Yes, you're absolutely on the mark with your thoughts, but I would actually say that it should happen in your lifetime, because we have to push for it to happen in your lifetime, because your own business needs support. You need the support from financial support, you need social support. So it has to change now for you to be able to procure that support from people. And so this is why I'm thinking, what would you say would be repercussions if we made mandatory laws through, let's say, our legislation, where minority-owned businesses are required to have a certain number of customers, or they are required by these large corporations like Vogue and the large departmental stores like Bloomingdale's and Macy's are required to send, let's say, a certain number of customer referrals to your business. And not only that, they are required by law to invite you as a guest certified personal stylist in their departmental stores to interact with customers. How would this work? And do you think that this might be a way forward for you, for your business and other minority-owned, women-owned businesses?
And I also think that the people on the board need to be represented as well. So it's not just, okay, you might have owners of major department stores, but how many of them are of color? How many of them, and even if they're not of color, are they conscious, are they culture aware of who's out there, who their customer is? That needs to change too. So as much as we could have mandates and policies in place, great, but who is running the show? Who's making the decisions, right? It can't just be white males, right? So it has to come from the hiring process. It has to come from the powers that speak, the powers that sign those checks. It's got to represent, the company has to represent.
So if we want to change, exactly as you are saying, the company representation, especially leadership, from leadership down,
yes,
the representation, minority representation there, can we do so through rallying our fellow residents, our neighbors from our communities, local communities? If we start with our local communities and have them lobby, push their congressional representatives to enact, first of all, write these laws, this legislation, and then enact it by working in tandem with these companies to change their racial and gender representation from top down and middle management as well, all throughout the companies, and then to collaborate with the businesses of color, partner together, and be able to financially and socially support each other. Do we do it that way?
Yes.
Or are there other ways?
I think what you're creating is a powerful way to do it. I mean, I can't speak from our American politics and our American policies, right? I can only speak from what we do in Canada.
Yes.
I mean, we have
please share the Canadian experience. I think we have a lot to learn.
Yeah, so we have something called the Charter of Rights in our Constitution, and it speaks about racial freedom, racial equality, and it doesn't mean that it happens, right? Because I can look at how Indigenous people are treated in Canada. There's a whole history that does not get written or spoken about. So we have our issues here too, but I think that is going to change, and it has changed. And when I look at my representation in government, it's still not as diverse as it could be. Locally, yes, it is diverse, but I look at the federal government, it's not as diverse as it could be. So it is so many different layers that needs to shift. And it starts with, I'm going to say it, educating our kids. And once the kids get to high school, once they get to university, how are they going to be in the corporate world? If they're going to run a business, how will they be? Who will they collaborate with? So it has to start from, start from how we educate our young people, how to be in business. A lot of what we teach our kids is how to be in a job, which is great, but how to be in a business that doesn't get spoken about. And if we start to shift culturally how we educate people on how to be with each other and how to create collaborations, that's going to be a huge shift. It'll trickle down to government, it'll trickle up to government, it'll trickle up to the big corporations. That's what I see the future as.
I think you've captured the most viable way forward. I'm just wondering if that change can start through, like you're saying, it's not diverse at federal levels, but if somehow we can vote in from local to federal, because you see, you've actually captured the important issue that we are seeing, which is causing a lot of the unfairness in our society, is that the federal is the attention is all placed on the federal. It's very far removed from us at the local level, when it should be the reverse. We at the local level should be driving the policy changes at the federal level, and they should come to us for those changes. It has to be we at the local level are making the decisions. So we've given that power away to representatives, spokespeople for us, when we have to return and bring that back, our own voices, and as the community locally, to decide, make the decisions as to how we want our society to be led, how it should be created and flow forwards. We really have to bring that back. So it's going to, I think, take us, we elect members from our local communities, but who are focusing on us. So even if they're at the federal level, they're going to consult with us first before they make any decision. And so it involves us in the conversation and in the decision making. So I'm thinking this is going to happen. It happens through elected representatives, but I think we also have to, because the land originally belonged to our indigenous groups, so we have to at some level give back the land to them, and I think bring them back into leadership at the local levels to bring together like a community of our diverse local residents, neighborhood communities, making decisions for moving our society forward. And this is going to then affect where we invest ourselves, the finances that we have, where our neighbors and residents invest. It's going to change then, because they're not going to be funneling it towards just representatives and federal issues. It's going to be turned towards our local communities, our minority people, and the economically struggling, where it should be invested in. So I think we have to return back to decision-making locally and elect those in place that are focusing on the local community, our neighborhoods and residents, that at the federal level, they bring up decision-making, they bring our voices, they include those. Instead of this top-down federal to local, it's local to federal, local all across, local to local, all across the nation. And I'm also wondering if alongside we bar any investment in, so this becomes down to also, as residents of our local communities, we encourage fellow residents and neighbors not to invest in these large companies that are racist, that are racist in representation because they are white, European American, male dominated. They do not reflect the diversity in our society, and they do not collaborate or incorporate voices from minorities. So what are your thoughts, this divestment from every single multi-million, billion-dollar company? It has to be banned, and our investments, let's say, reallocated to small businesses, minority-owned small businesses, and businesses like yours that are struggling in the first year to find clients with the raging pandemic. What would you say to that? How can we make
Like
that
a ban? Yeah, I don't know if I would go that route. I think I'm all about bringing everybody in. I want to include everybody in the conversation, because there's room for, I think there's room for everybody, and there should be room for everybody to grow. So, there's Amazon, there's all those big, all those big companies out there that are making billions of dollars, which fine, that's what they do. But I also think there's room for the small companies, and there should be room for small companies to grow. That's why we exist. So I think I'm all about having an equal playing field. I don't know if a ban will make it might create more harm than good.
Right, ban is maybe too severe a word, but let's put if we would put it as like they have moratoriums on evictions, if we have similarly moratoriums on investments in these large scale businesses until they change their practices, and we draw attention to invest in the businesses that do not have, because to level the playing field, you have to shift the focus then from those that have to those that do not have. And I think you need to, like exactly as you're saying, bring those who have to invest in those who do not have. But if they're not doing it, then there has to be some kind of consequence. What do you think about that? If they're not investing in this minority-owned small businesses, or if they continue to repeat their racist representation, European American males at the top dictating decisions down to minority workers.
Yeah, I can see a lot of resistance with that. Force, like a force type of thing. I mean, I think they have a social responsibility. Is that what you're getting at? And I think, they should be socially responsible for where they invest their money. I mean, I don't know how Amazon runs their business. I'd be curious to find out how much they invest in small business, if they do that. But I don't know if we'll be getting more pushback if that's the case. You know what I mean? I just, that's my only concern, that we'll be getting a lot more pushback and saying, no, don't tell me what to do. It's my money, my business. So that's how I see it.
So maybe, or we completely ignore these multi-million, if the ones who are not changing, and as a society, we focus on our small businesses in the public, really investing financially. And like you're saying, you have to bring willing people who are your partners, who are supporting you, because without that component, we are never going to make it with our small businesses.
Exactly.
So where you find those willing people, and the predominant you're going to need are going to be among the white European Americans, because they do have the wealth. They have the wealth, and they're the majority wealth holders in our Western society. But even abroad, you have multinational companies that are Western owned, but even there they own the majority of the wealth. So these are extracted resources and labor from developing countries. So there has to be a conscious decision for change, and at some level, I think we are going to see, whether there is pushback or not, we are going to see those resistance, that anyone who is resistant to racial equality, racial and gender equality and fairness, those people will be pushed to the side maybe and forgotten into oblivion, because our youth, millennials, our entire generation is conscious of the unfairness and injustices because they've grown up with it. They've visibly seen it. They've visibly seen the racial discrimination and violence towards minorities and minority women and the groups of people. They've grown up and witnessed that. So it's not going to escape people's consciousness. And that's why I really don't see us moving forward without there to be this widespread drive forward towards equality and equality in business. It sounds to me that your preference for the way forward is working together.
Yes.
Together with all the entities in our society to support small business.
Those who want to. Those who don't want to play, then I'm not going to ask them to join the party.
No. They may be in a pretty deplorable state. If they don't want to join us, they'll be left out of the party, and there'll be no form of attention headed their way, because I think all the attention our minorities, our millennial younger generations are going to be placing is to establish a diverse society of equals, and equals in business that we have not seen before, because we will see really us move forward in so many different ways, as you are doing with your personal styling business, helping people to move forward with confidence in their lives. So can you describe for people out there who would be interested in a personal style consultation with you, can you describe how you go about bringing this progress to people, this boost of confidence through style? How do you do that?
Yeah, it all starts with a conversation. Whenever I work with somebody new, I always schedule, it's called an Uncover You call. It's where it could be virtual, like over Zoom or a phone call, where I get to ask the person what had them call me, what intrigued them, and what are they looking for. And it's really, I ask them about themselves, ask them about their personality, what they're wearing now, what they don't wear, their shopping habits, their family, their friends, how they spend the social time. Like it's a really just, it's like getting to know a friend, and then, if I find out, if they share with me that they want to, stop dressing frumpy, or they want to look more polished, then I recommend, okay, well, the first thing I would do is like, we're going to book the appointment, we're going to book the appointment, and I'm going to virtually, if I could do virtually, then I'm going to look into your closets. We're going to book a virtual Zoom meeting where you're going to take your laptop or your phone, walk me around your closet, walk me around your shoes, your clothes, accessories. What are you wearing and not wearing? And then we're going to do like a real like overhaul of your wardrobe. Other than that, I do a photo shoot with them. I ask them to take pictures of themselves without makeup on, if they're women, so I can take a look at their face shape, so I can do a color analysis and body shape analysis. I take the measurements, and then it's a step-by-step process. It's not a one-time thing. It's like, it could be 3 or 4 sessions, or it could be like a month. It really depends how in-depth we work together and what they're looking for. And the packages that I offer a styling package where I get to style you, we get to go shopping, and then we build your wardrobe, whether it's seasonal or capsule, but it's really catered towards what the person wants, what they're looking for to create themselves newly.
When you are with clients, do you envision completely radical changes, do you find, compared to their past choices? Or these days, are clients more risk averse and looking for small changes, but within their pattern of style?
Normally it's the small changes. I find the people I've been working with, it's small changes. I work with who they are now, or it's slowly getting them to the world of, okay, you can make subtle changes over time. And then eventually, if you're ready to make a radical change, I'm here for you. But I'm working with who they are now. And a lot of it is, like you said, they're slow to change, or don't want to look too much. They don't want to look too different from who they really are.
So they probably have a fixed sense of themselves that they want you to capture through even
yes,
subtle changes.
yeah. Or I always ask people, who are your style icons? Who do you admire on TV or in magazines? And they'll say something, and then I'll say, okay, do you like the person because they pull off an outfit? Then what I do is I'll create a mood board based on what the celebrity was wearing and how they can adapt that style to suit themselves. So it's all about seeing yourself in a new light, but adapt just you.
Yes, and it's something for them to see themselves in new ways also. I think you're really helping them to uncover parts of themselves that they had not seen previously. And you really do that through the wardrobe choices and the styles that you suggest that bring out certain parts of their personality that they may not have seen before. And I think that's where they become more confident, that they reflect, they have those parts they never thought they had, this maybe bold, and they may be courageous through a color choice that they never thought they might have those attributes until you bring them out through their clothes. So there's really that expression, clothes make a person, and the person makes the clothes. So that that really, it holds lots of weight, as I'm sure you're seeing.
Yes.
And what about choosing clothes that make a statement? For example, if people decided to wear a certain, like we were discussing, racism and sexism, if they make a statement through their clothing, social statements, anti-racist, anti-sexist statements, do you see that becoming a phenomenon? And should people be using that as an approach also, styling their clothes for social impact, to make
like activism?
Yeah.
It really depends on the person. I mean, I saw the one woman who is, as you say, like, she's an activist, she's a teacher, she's an educator, and she is very much attuned to what's happening in the world, whether it's anti-Black racism, and she's of South Asian descent, and she wears a hijab, and she's Muslim, and she's very well aware of her culture, how she's seen, and she's I would say she's a radical. She likes to, make a statement with her clothes. So she wore like statement jewelry with her hijab, and she wore t-shirts with slogans on them. And I love her style because it's uniquely her. And she wanted to have her style be represented when she's teaching. And there's certain things she can't wear when she's teaching, but she has a business as well. And she really wanted to wear her style, her statement style, as this is who she is, and like it or not, this is who I am. So she's very confident that way. So it really depends on the person, where they're in life, and where they work, whether they can have that freedom to be obvious with slogans or statement pieces that say, I'm anti-Black racism, I'm a feminist. So it really depends on the person. Not everyone can pull off that look. And it really depends. You could do it subtly with a piece of jewelry or with a piece of cloth, or you can be as obvious as you want to with a t-shirt with a powerful slogan on it. So it really depends on the person.
Yes, you're absolutely right. You have certain people who are more inclined towards that activist look, and so they express their personality through their clothing. And probably they consult you if they're headed towards that angle. But I think that this would be something incredible if, these choices, social impact clothing choices could be visibly publicized on a large scale. So I don't know if it means having, for example, if you had your clients, you gather them for a social event and they are dressed in your stylistic creations and they get to see each other, those of who are social impact oriented, really making that statement for change. And you have all your other clients expressing their individuality through their clothes, that sense of courage and newfound confidence you've gifted them through their styling choices, really coming together. And then you publicize your client community out there for people to see the changes that are happening in our society, how we are supporting each other. So do you think that might help to address?
I haven't thought about that, but it's something that it might be something I'd be open to. It's a matter of having a platform that speaks to everybody. And again, it's so challenging nowadays to get people to speak one language and to collaborate on certain things. So I'm open to it, and it has to lead somewhere. Like I want it to be like statement pieces that make a difference. I would want those businesses to be involved as well too. So the person who makes the t-shirt, the person that makes the cloth, the person who makes the baseball cap, the person that makes the jacket that's made of recycled fabric to be involved in it too. So I want the creator to be there, designer to be there, and for the person who I styled to have, hey, this is how I styled your jacket. You know, this is what it means to me. So I think I'd be open to that too, that sort of platform.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's along the lines of what you're saying about the collaborations and partnerships, because people will really get to see, I think there'll be less of this separation that we see and more of people being able to relate to each other. First, they're seeing their hard work, on the impacting other people's lives. So it becomes more personal for them. And then I think they would be more engaged spontaneously because it's they're seeing themselves in another person. So I think there'll be more an ability to relate to others. It's so much of, I think what we're seeing is the disconnect. And that's exactly, with racism and sexism, we see that disconnect. So the more that people are able to come together in the space and see each other, I think it's going to break down that disconnect, and they are going to start to see each other the way that the other views their lives, and they're going to start to see from one another's perspectives. So I think we are heading towards there, but having these kind of, even if it's small get-togethers with clients, and that is going to make a difference. And hopefully even in our 10th house collective, we are able to, meet all these different women, incredible women business owners, that collaborations can sprout. So it's always, I think
I love that.
It's, yes, a place springboard for that partnership to be born.
Yeah, definitely.
So Cheryl, for everyone watching out there, I will be including Cheryl's bio and website link in the description box below to this video. And I am very much telling and encouraging you all out there to share this video and Cheryl's bio and website link for people to financially and socially support her business. And we have to do this on a widespread scale. She's shared her story with all of you. We have to focus on a widespread level for us to establish this connection that we were just speaking about, and for her to be able to grow her business and achieve her dream, she really needs that financial and social support from all of you. And you are going to be getting an incredible style in the process. She's going to help you be more confident. And here I wanted to end on a memorabilia of a visual that I can show that reminds me of you, Cheryl, actually. This is from a box of borrowed memorabilia that I have, but if you see, this is like a simple wrapping little packet here, and all these colors just represent all aspects of your own personality, Cheryl. You're an eclectic personality, and you really diffuse all those colors with your, I can sense in you a multiculturalism. There is just a multitude, ethnic, multiracial aspect in you that really stands out to me, that you impart to your clients through the styles that you recommend for them, being able to listen to, hear people's preferences, understand their personalities, and convey the vibrancy of the gold colors, the calming, lulling blues, and the passionate, fiery reds, and just the very subtle, mysterious purples, the allure of the person. So you have all these aspects in yourself that you are sharing with people out there, and it really is commendable. You really have a dazzling, eclectic, and completely unique style of your own that you are sharing with the world through your business. And what you are doing is you're a role model for others by building confidence in themselves, by bringing their personalities out through their styling, clothing, and apparel choices. So congratulations on your business. And I am really stressing for everyone out there to see all the amazing vibrancy that Cheryl is creating in the world for you to confidently move forward, and in return thank her, financially support, socially support her, share her business information and her story with all your friends, loved ones, and our entire communities, so we can see this prosperity across all our communities. Any final reflections, Cheryl, or comments?
I just want to say I love that wrapping paper. I love it.
Oh, it's pretty old, and a lot of what I have is borrowed, because personally, for people who know me, I'm actually economically struggling. I actually also, like you, started my small business right before the pandemic, actually last year. So nobody's attention was on it. And so everyone I met was also economically struggling. Like we're talking, $0 of income over the past few years. And since, we left our established employment. So coming from very little economic resources. So a lot of what I have is borrowed. So I tend to, reflect on what I have and what I have borrowed. So this is pretty old wrapping that's been, it's actually a container my mom has stored and left to me here. So I just have all these miscellaneous memorabilia. And so this actually reminded me of you, and I wanted to end on this visual note, because this is exactly what you're sharing with the world, this diverse vibrancy society that we want to see. You are doing it through your business. You're uncovering people's styles. So I knew you would love this, because this is you. I think this represents you. All that, the powerhouse that is you.
Awesome. Thank you.
I very much enjoyed this conversation, and I apologize for those, if you are not aware, we had a horrendous internet issue, but we made it through.
Yes.
Finally. And we got to learn and hear, Cheryl, your incredible story of your personal styling, starting from your father and his just organized and, dapper, spotless, pristine style that you have described, and to you, how you've made styling your own practice and marked your unique stamp on it. So thank you so much for joining and for sharing your story with all of us. So everyone support Cheryl. And until we meet again, I wish you all health, happiness, and prosperity.
Awesome. Thank you.